concept of this video is going to be, well, it's the first one for me, and I'm going to try to look at some ideas for how we can do things on vehicles, in particular Jeep, Gladiator, how we can do them perhaps a little less expensively than other ways, and to try to do things that the average man can handle. So looking at the idea of brake controllers for trailers got me thinking. I saw different videos online on YouTube about putting a knob in the dashboard, and then there's a separate controller that's hidden up under the dash, and you have to run wiring back and forth and then connect it up to the vehicle. So it required a fair amount of disassembly, some drilling holes, all this kind of stuff. So I got to thinking, well, what would be wrong with trying to use a normal brake controller that we all grew up with on seeing in cars? And what's now available is a custom wiring harness from the manufacturer of the brake controller that fits your vehicle. So I did a little research online, found Curt had a good quality brake controller and a wiring harness that goes from it directly into the Jeep Gladiator. And I thought, well, let's do a video of me putting it in real time and see what it looks like. Okay, so let's get into it then. Let's start by opening up the packages. So we've got our brake controller harness, which is Curt number 51526. And also the Curt Discovery brake controller number 51120. We're going to set the stopwatch to 0, and then we're going to see how long it takes us to get this thing put in. So let's tackle it. And go. So stopwatch running. We'll commence with opening these up. So there's our brake controller and a bracket. And there's our harness for the Gladiator. So that end goes on the Gladiator, and it looks like this end goes on here. All right. And then we'll decide where it's going to sit after we hook up the wiring part of it. So stopwatch still running. We're basically a minute in. Okay, so I can see it there attached to that other wiring harness. So it just looks like it's taped on. Sure enough, there it is. Okay, so, and there's not a lot of play on this one, so we're not a lot of slack, so you really gotta wrestle it in. So it looks like I'm gonna slide in like that. Alright, so after getting our wiring harness connected, there's a kind of a cross member up here into the dash. So I've just kind of looped it over so that it makes a nice easy feed for it. And then the other end connects to our brake controller quite readily. Just a quick snap connection, and that's it. Okay, now the bracket is going to go in this general area here onto something. So if that winds up there, the through holes are about there. I think that looks just perfect. So the instructions call for a 1/8 drill bit, but being that we're going into plastic there, I think we will just confine ourselves to a 5/64. And we're going to go right about yonder. So now we've got bracket mounted. Okay, so then all that remains now is to actually just install the controller itself on the bracket. And there's two tiny screws that are either, there's a 1/4 inch hex on them for a socket, or also a Phillips head. So we'll get those. So that gives us access to, there's a control knob on the top, the little screen here. So we'll just give those a bit of a snug up. There we go. And that's that. Just give this a wrap with electrical tape to avoid any possible abrasion issues, which is probably highly unlikely. Now we'll take this, kind of feed it back up over onto the side again. And then on this side here we'll have this loop of wire. So we'll just take that and see if we can't coil it up somewhat. And we'll loop a zip tie around it first. And then we'll take another zip tie and find a spot to tie it up here against the dash, or against this cross member. There. That brings us okay. So I'm shooting the conclusion of this video after going away for a weekend and trying out the new brake controller in the vehicle with the travel trailer that we have. So looking back over the whole thing, installation was just so easy. You just a couple of screws into a plastic panel, connect one wiring harness to another, and that was the end of that. And the performance of the brake controller, after a little adjustment in the driveway, which is what the instructions tell you to do, there's a simple guide for doing it. And when you do that, you find the brakes, the magic or happy spot for the brakes for the trailer. Once that's adjusted, everything was fine. We had a seamless weekend, no problems, and the brakes on the trailer worked exactly as they should. So I'm going to try to go forward, and hopefully I'll be making a little better quality videos as I go forward. But as I do, I'm going to tackle projects like this on the Jeep, on other things, and we'll see how we can work through things together. If you found the video helpful and you would like to see more videos on how to do things like this, then please like and subscribe, and